Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's time for coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career double shot K-Cup with my guest, Corey Rosen. 2 final time for coffee questions, Corey. Could you share a time in your professional life when you really struggled so far coming out of school? And while you were in school, sounds like it was pretty darn good, but maybe you even failed at something. I know I have. But the important thing is here, how did you get through that tough time? How did you power through? And was there a lesson that you may have learned in the process?
Sure. I fail a lot. I have learned through my life and also through doing, like improvisation, that failure is a good thing. To celebrate failure and to not look at it as put my tail between my legs and shrink away, but to put my hands up and say, woohoo, I failed, and to look at that and learn from that. And I have done a lot of failing in my career, and that's led me to good places. There have been times, I talked a lot about working at Lucasfilm, but to be honest, there were times there that I felt like I was kind of coasting, and I was just kind of in what some people call like a kind of velvet prison, where this is a great job and I can't believe I have this job, but I'm not challenging myself, or I'm not feeling challenged. So I made a difficult decision to leave that place because it was comfortable and because I wanted to challenge myself. And my parents, who really liked that I worked there, couldn't believe, why would you leave? Why would you leave? But I got to say, by leaving something that was comfortable actually made me grow and made me learn things that I didn't know before, and challenged me to learn things that I hadn't done before. For example, we talked a lot earlier about software applications and programming and animation, and every company that you work at is going to have their way of doing things. So there was a part of my brain that was like, I don't know that I could work anywhere else, because this kind of imposter complex or syndrome, whatever they call it, where it's like they're going to know that I don't know anything. You kind of feel like I don't really, I've just got somehow skated by, and then you leave that place, you go somewhere else, you go like, oh, I know things. I know how to do that. I have the answers to that. So I guess if I was to encapsulate this into advice that I've learned along the way, is don't be afraid to challenge yourself. And if you think you don't know how to do something, you might be right. You might not know how to do that. And that's an impetus to learn it and to figure out how to do that. And every time I failed, every time I've not known something, it's maybe pushed me to figure out how to do that and to become better at that. And the more times I fail, the more times I get better at doing it.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And just coincidentally, you are the second person today who has shared with me they're having experienced the imposter syndrome, something I've experienced as well. And I say that because it's super common.
Yeah,
this is absolutely natural. We're not outliers. We're the norm. It's just most people don't talk about it. And so take comfort from what Corey is sharing with you. The fact that you will likely feel like you're out of your depth and you don't know anything and everybody else knows so much more, and use that as kind of fuel to push yourself to study outside of work, to read that extra book, to learn and educate yourself, and to ask for help, to ask your colleagues.
Can I build on that? One thing to add to that?
Sure.
Which is, and then you don't have to pretend that you know everything either. You don't have to act like you have all the answers. I think a lot of people try to cover themselves and they pretend like they do know everything. I think there's a community spirit of, if I say, you know what, I'm not sure if this is the right way to go, I'm going to put this out there, and I'm open to input, feedback, ideas that are going to make this better instead of kind of the whack-a-mole game of like, I'm going to put myself out there and get hit on the head and say that's wrong and then shrink back. Like, put yourself out there and be willing to get it wrong and to say, I don't know that I'm doing this right, but here's my best try and I'm going to do better.
150%, Corey. I am so glad you raised that. Please don't feel that you have to fake it. And often everybody knows you don't know, especially when you're new. You know, nobody expects you to know.
False confidence. Yeah, the false confidence of, I know how to do everything. We can see through that. I would rather you come and say, I know some things about that and I want to learn more. How would you do it?
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.